Hey everyone, going live here. Wait till everyone kind of comes on board. So today we're going to be chatting about creative financing, buying income producing assets just like Mel and I do, using other people's money and creative financing. No joint venture partners is our specialty as well. Here, let me wait. So let me just open up the chat. Today's going to be pretty informal, guys. So definitely, if you have any questions or anything like that, put them in the chat so I know that we're ready to rock and roll. There's a couple of subjects that I do want to talk on. People will ask me all the time, how come you guys don't do developments and you mostly do multifamily already built buildings, whether they're purpose built or whether you are transforming them. So I'll touch on that, and I'll touch on why we buy assets with no joint venture partners, right? The big reasons why we do so. So yeah, as you're coming in, guys, definitely put your questions in the chat so I can see them, and do not be shy. Let me know. So for those of you that are coming in, I actually want to let you guys know as well, and I'll say it a couple of times because people I know will be coming in and out. I'm live on multiple platforms here. Mel and I are actually going live tomorrow night, so Thursday, June 20th. Isn't that the first day of summer? Anyway, someone can put it in the chat if that's the first day of summer or not. But yeah, Thursday, June 20th, we are going live 8 p.m. Eastern time. So my team will put the link here. We're gonna have a webinar, completely free live. We're gonna be going over multiple deals, analyzing deals. We're gonna be showing you how we do this in 5 different countries. And how we do it with no joint venture partners and with other people's money. So that is our specialty. So if you are not following us yet and you clicked on this live and you're like, hey, what does this guy do? What is this guy talking about? Literally what Mel and I do is, this is our full-time job now. It's our full-time gig. We both quit our jobs in our 30s. I used to be a full-time firefighter. Mel worked at our local college. We buy real estate. That's our means of income, right? So we buy income producing assets with other people's money / creative financing. We hold 100% of the ownership, right? We don't share any ownership with anyone else, with joint venture partners. And that's how we make a living. And that's literally what we show people. Now we've been doing this. Oh, there's a link for you guys to register here. Let me click on it right now. That way you've got an idea. So again, 8 p.m. Eastern live tomorrow, register, completely free, analyzing a bunch of deals. But what was I going to say? So let me backtrack. About Mel and I, we do this in 5 different countries now. We do it in Canada. We do it in the US, Costa Rica, Mexico, and Dominican Republic, okay? One of the deals actually that we're analyzing tomorrow is I guess it's not a BRRRR project. It was an actual flip in Costa Rica. Mel and I had never been there. Actually, by the time we did this flip, we had never been there. It was completely remote. So yeah, it was pretty cool to go check it out. Yeah, that's what we do. We speak on stages. We're actually speaking at a conference, not this weekend, but the weekend after in Toronto. We have met multiple big people in the real estate industry, which is a super cool part about being a real estate investor and a coach or mentor. And that's what we do full time. So I'll dive into some of the questions that I do see and that we get all the time is, why did you choose purchasing multifamily properties that are already existing, right, instead of developing? Okay, and let me preface this by, I have a lot of friends that are developers. They make awesome money. It's just, we're different, okay? And there's no right or wrong here. It's just, I'll explain to you why Mel and I do it. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with developing. It's just, this is why buying a multifamily asset that's already established is my preference. Okay, so when I see and everyone's different. Like when I look at a piece of land, I look at it differently than a developer. Okay, and again, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying the developer's wrong. Not at all. what I see is I'm going, okay, I see a vacant piece of land. I need to buy it. Hopefully it's in the path of not projection, it's another P word, progression. Hopefully it's in the path of progress. I know from experience, I have one piece of land. I'm definitely not a land expert by any means. We bought it speculation a while ago. It's already gone up. But you have to buy with speculation. The banks did not give me any financing on it. I bought it in one of our racehorse entities that had some money. So we had to buy it all cash. So that's what I know. Is I see a vacant piece of land. I know that the financial institutions, I'm not saying all of them all the time, but most of them that I speak with, they go, there's nothing there. It's just raw land. So there's nothing, to really lend on. That's just, again, my experience with land. And then I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? If it's clear, okay, awesome. If it's not clear, I now need to clear it, right? I need to take down trees. Is there water? Are there rivers? Are there encroachments? Are there whatever that's there that I need to now deal with? So I need to clear the land and basically get it ready. Then after that, and I don't know the steps because I'm not a developer, but this is just what I see. Then I need to sever, right? I need to sever the land and get it, make sure that it's the appropriate zoning and go through X, Y, Z and deal with the municipality, the county, the city, the town, whatever it is. But now I've got to take that piece of land, sever it up, give them drawings, give them all sorts of reports, environmentals, like that's what I see. Then after that, I need to service the land, right? I need to bring gas, electricity, water, sewer, like all of that stuff. Then after that, you could either sell it, right? Or you could find a builder and build on and then sell it. So that's what I see when I see land. Okay, I just see that's not my specialty. That seems like, and this is just my opinion, guys, again, I see that it's not my specialty. It seems like a lot of work. I have to do a lot of X, Y, Z, to get it up to snuff, to just be able to sell it, right? To just be able to finally get it for someone to pick it up and want to build a house on it or want to build a property on it, or, I sell the house and land and everything. Now let's get into multifamily properties, what I see there. Ooh, that's hot. Definitely need to take the lid off that one. Green tea. So when I look at a multifamily property, completely different experience or whatever you want to call it, feelings that I get when I look at a multifamily property. When I look at a building that's already there, already, has been built, already established, I'm literally looking at it going, okay, it obviously check your zoning and you're going to check the usage and all that. But I'm just going, all of that, in my opinion, heavy lifting has been done. There's already a foundation. There's already a parking lot. There's already everything on the exterior is done. The roof, again, that's subject to the property itself. I need to do a roof or whatever I need to do. But you already have an existing business. And that's what I want to talk about. This real estate is a business. Income properties are a business. So when I look at a multifamily property, I'm buying an existing business that is, if you're buying in the right places, obviously, right? That is already established, right? There's already the walls up. Can it need some TLC inside? Yeah. But depending on how much work I'm doing, I don't need to go up, rezone or change the usage or X, Y, Z. Majority of the time, it's going to be flooring, paint, some countertops. Do I need a permit? Do I not? Like, at least this is a building. And again, I'm being very general here. I'm not saying that it's not looking at fire code and not looking at building code. Like, I'm talking in general. But the majority of the heavy lifting is done. Now we go in. And now we add our spin to it, our touch to it, right? We do the BRRRR, we do the, buy the existing business, we do the renovating it. Oh gosh, I always got to think back. Buy, renovate, rent, right? Then we put tenants into it, refinance it. The bank loves giving debt on multifamily property, and then we repeat. So again, I am not here to say that development or multifamily, one is better than the other. That is not my intent or intention whatsoever. My lane that I love is multifamily because of everything that I've explained. I just know, like I talk to the banks. We have a lot of different financial institutions that we use, a lot of different, well, not a lot of mortgage brokers. We have our few key, mortgage brokers that we love and trust. And the same thing, I'll be like, hey, can I buy this piece of land? They'll be like, what are you going to do with it? I've got to do all that. And they'll say, yeah, maybe once you get to this point. Or I'll say, hey, can I buy this property? And okay, they'll want to look at the net operating income. The banks are much more likely to lend on it. And if you're thinking, well, why would the bank, and I'll just go high level here. Why would the bank rather lend on a multifamily property than a piece of land? And again, I'm not saying all banks all the time. I'm just talking in general. And I kind of agree with the bank, right? It's okay. Mr. or Mrs. Banker decides, Dave goes into the bank and I'm like, hey, can I get a loan, please? Can I get a loan on this piece of land? When the financial institution is looking at me, when their underwriting team, their risk assessment, all of that is looking at us, is they're looking, if you don't make your payments and we have to take this land back, what are we going to do with the land? We're not developers. What am I going to do with that? That's what they're seeing. Let's flip to the other side. You walk into the bank and you go, I'll just make it up. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Banker, I'm bringing you a fourplex, a fiveplex, a duplex, or whatever it is for financing. The financial institutions, same thing. They underwrite the asset. They put it through the risk assessment. They'll look at you, depending which bank you use. If they'll look at equity or asset-based lending, they're more debt servicing loans. Long story short, they're going, okay, Dave, this fourplex is already a business. If for any reason, things go sideways and we have to take this building back, all we have to do is hire a PM and keep running the building. It's already an established business. So if you were the bank or if you were lending your money, just put yourself in those shoes. Would you rather lend to something that needs a lot of construction, building, zoning, XYZ, like a piece of raw land, right? Development. Again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's just I don't do it. Now, again, I'm always open to different things. Or would you rather lend on, here's a mortgage on an asset that's already performing. If you don't pay me, I'll just do the assignment of rents. I'll take it over and I'll continue to cash flow. And, I didn't finance it 100%. So if I sell it, I'll get 80, 70, 65% loan to value or cents on the dollar. So this is why, in my opinion, this is why Mel and I do this. I'm not saying that, who knows down the road, we might explore development. It's just not my specialty right now. And we like staying in our own lane, which is income properties, multifamily. Now, do we have some short-term rentals? Yes. Do we have some single-family homes? Yes. Do we have some condos? Yes. But they're all on the same premise. When I'm looking at that deal, I'm underwriting it the same way that I would a multifamily and long-term rentals to make sure that I have my plan. So that's one of the biggest questions that we get is, how come you guys aren't developers? How come you guys do multifamily properties? And that's literally why. And guys, if you want to learn why we do or how we do multifamily properties with, again, our specialty is other people's money, creative financing, and no joint venture partners. Actually, the links are there. Team, click on the link. Mel and I go live tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time. All right, let me get into the next question. Urban, what are the new quick flip ideas investors are using is to simply purchase the land and do all the paperwork to change the zoning? Yes. Developable, just paperwork so the developer comes and can start right away without the red tape. Yes, and that's kind of like, I like that idea, but it's still the heavy lifting. Like, I still agree. It's paperwork. You're dealing with counties, you're dealing with municipalities, you're dealing with, and I'm not saying you don't do that with multifamilies. It's just, so for example, and I still like the idea, to be honest with you. It's not something I would do. It's kind of like, well, that's not kind of like, I was going to say, it's kind of like buying a pre-con and, going through all that and then assigning it at the finish line, which not necessarily. You are assigning it over at the end, but yeah, apples and oranges, not a good example on my behalf. Yeah, I can see that. It's still a lot of heavy lifting with the paperwork. And again, this is why I love multifamilies. If you do your due diligence properly, like let's say a building is listed on the market, and I'm looking at it, and it says, it's zoned for a duplex, or it's zoned for a fiveplex, and it's zoned, whatever that municipality, county, area has the zoning as. As long as I call the zoning department and say, hey, I'm calling about 123 Main Street. What is it zoned? It's zoned this. Okay, well, what does that mean? It allows up to 4 units, right? And you do your due diligence. That's the extent of it. Okay, cool. I didn't have to change the zoning. I didn't have to do nothing. All I had to do is make a phone call or an inquiry, depending the place, or send an email, or do like an information request. Done. Check mark, due diligence, done on that, right? That whole zoning, and it's a lot easier, I find, on the multifamilies, and vice versa. Let's say, okay, I call, I email, I get the information, and it's not what I wanted. Well, now I have the choice as an investor. Okay, so this asset is not zoned properly, or is not being used correctly, or is being used illegally, or whatever it is. Now I've got the choice, okay? But the asset is still there. That's the thing. The asset is still there. The heavy lifting is still done. Do I want to apply for a rezoning? Which, again, that's a whole other ball of wax. but you're not having to develop the land. You're not having to do all that stuff. So again, this is why we love multifamily properties. Okay, let me look at some questions here. What's the number one reason there? What's the number one reason why you didn't buy properties yet or stuck? Let me see the question here. What's the number one reason why or you're stuck? Oh, so I think someone's stuck. The number one reason why you can't buy properties is the number one reason why people get stuck. I think that's what that person was asking. So typically in my experience, what I see when people get, stuck or they're not buying properties, it's always, common denominator. So fear, right? False evidence appearing real. That definitely is a common denominator. Money, they don't have the $100,000 down payment, or depending which market, the $200,000 or, that type of thing. So the funds to get it done, they don't have the knowledge. Typically fear, money, knowledge is what's holding people back, right? So, okay, let's talk on that. So fear is a huge thing. And let's discuss mindset. So Mel and I, we write in our journals every single morning. We have mindset coaches. We make a constant and continuous effort, whatever one applies best there, to have a happy mindset, a positive mindset. Because again, there's going to be things that enter your mind that are going to say, we still get it, that little voice, you shouldn't do this. And Mel and I had this. So let me just tell you about our journey. When we started wanting to go out of North Bay, Ontario, right? That fear was there, like, oh, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden we started going outside of Canada, and that same fear was there, right, in our ear. And then all of a sudden we were starting to go to Costa Rica and Mexico and Dominican. It's outside of North America. Well, Mexico isn't, but you know what I'm saying. That fear was always there. So that is a constant denominator, again, for lack of better word, and that is a constant. And you have to just understand that fear will be there, but it's not reality. Like, it's there to scare you, which I guess is still natural, right? However, it shouldn't be your end all be all. So just because you're scared to do something doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. And typically what I'll see is people will come to us and they'll want to join, our Action Family or our mentoring programs and different things. And they know what they should do. Like, I wanted to buy real estate for the last 5, 10, 15. Sometimes people come to me, I've wanted to get into real estate for 40 years, but I've had a fear. And I can still help them, but I'm like, oh, how much weight are you giving that fear? Like, imagine wanting to do something that's going to help you, your family, generational wealth. Oh, I get goosebumps when I talk about it. But like, how much power and weight are you giving that fear that you've wanted to do something for 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years? And that, again, fear, false evidence appearing real, has literally trumped all of those decisions for you, okay? So again, if you're having those fears, it's totally normal. It's just at some point you have to make a conscious decision. And like when Mel and I, again, outside of Ontario, outside of Canada, outside of North America, we just made that conscious decision. Okay, yeah, it's scary. Yeah, I agree. But we have our cash flow analysis matrix, all the dots, the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. We've done our due diligence. At some point, we have to take that dive. And thank goodness we did multiple times over. But fear, so that's totally normal, and you just have to break through it. The money part, people will say to me, I'm in a very hot market, and I don't have the money for the down payment, and I don't think I'll ever be able to buy a house or be able to get an income property or anything like that. Well, again, you don't necessarily need to save up for the big 20% down payment, right, on income properties. I'm not saying you don't need a down payment. I'm just saying you can utilize creative financing and other people's money. And that's exactly what Mel and I teach. The link is right there. We'll go live tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. I have a free webinar where we talk all about this. But just because you don't have the entire down payment doesn't mean you can't buy real estate, right? There's lots of ways. If you're looking at getting your first income property, maybe you want to do house hacking. Maybe it is a place that's a very hot market and you're like, Dave, I'm renting. And I really want to have ownership, but it's not going to happen for me. Okay, let's build out a plan for you. Why don't we house hack? And people will ask, Dave, what does house hacking mean? House hacking means, let me make it up. You're buying a duplex, okay? So 2 units, you live in 1 unit, The tenant lives in the other unit, and hopefully that tenant pays as much of the expenses as possible, if not all of them. Okay, so you're house hacking, right? Some people will do it where they'll buy a house, they'll put a suite in the basement, and they have an income helper. But you can do that with creative financing. Or if you want to buy income properties, so that you can start building a portfolio so you can buy the house you want after. So that's different ways we can help you with the financial, or even if you're saying, some people will come to me and they'll say, Dave, I've already got a house. I've got one or two other income properties. I make good money, like everything's going well, but the banks are saying no. Mel and I had the exact same problem when we had 5 buildings. We hit 5 and the bank said, all right, okay, you're done. And we're like, what do you mean we're done? Like our total debt service ratios are good. Our total debt to income ratios are good. And they're like, yeah, doesn't matter. Head office said that that's the maximum. So you might be thinking the banks are saying no to you, but money's not the issue, or equity's not the issue. So money in financial institutions can also be a big factor as to why people need to get into creative financing. That's what happened to us. And to this day, I am so thankful that the banks did say no at that point, because it literally, shoved Mel and I off that fence that pushed us into the creative financing realm. And then the third thing that people typically have is the knowledge base, right? One of the scariest things that one of my coaches told me before is, you don't know what you don't know. And you can put that in all aspects of your life in all different fields. Think about real estate though. Real estate's not cheap, right? We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars. Are you willing to purchase something that is 6, possibly 7 figures, not knowing what you don't know? Meaning, do you know your blind spots? Do you know how to, let's say once you get into the building, do you know what renovations need to be done? Do you want to overspend? You don't want to overspend the property management aspect, right? Who's going to take care of the tenants? Your tenants are the most important people in the buildings. They're your clients. They pay the bills. They're taking care of this asset for you. Like, how do you do that? How do you refinance it down the road? Like, how do you set up your structure to own these assets so that you're helping yourselves tax-wise and liability-wise? Like, the thing with real estate is there's so much that you don't know, right? Because you don't know what you don't know, which is so, that's why it's so important for the knowledge piece. So yes, I agree. Those 3 fears are so huge. They're so common, and I guess they are huge, too, but they are common as well. From where does other people's money come from? That could be various sources, Kate. So for example, let me put the question here. Actually, no, I'll just ask it. What was I going to say? Oh, I'm just going to tell the team I don't see the questions. There's some questions I don't see. Someone just messaged saying you didn't answer my question. Okay. So yeah, King had one. From where other people's money comes from. So yeah, sorry, King. So I want to answer that. Various different sources. So for example, if you're doing seller financing, okay, seller financing can mean multiple different things. It can mean it could mean them holding a mortgage for you. So for example, and we'll be talking all about this in our webinar tomorrow night. So if you guys have not signed up, guys, please, right below here, you'll see the link. It's completely free. I think we have like 4 or 5 examples where we break down deals. Seller financing, they can literally hold the first mortgage for you, depending how much they've got paid off. They could hold a second mortgage for you, which in turn is your down payment. So super beautiful way of doing it. We also do agreement for sale, right? So in Canada, it's called AFS, agreement for sale, where basically, actually we do it in the US too. Basically, it's kind of like, it's called a wrap mortgage in the US. So there's that as well, where the seller helps with the financing. The second one that we love is using people's registered funds in Canada, so RSPs, TFSAs, LIRA, or retirement funds in the US, so 401k and Roth IRA. So you can use other people's registered/retirement funds in the form of a mortgage, okay? And then if you have your own, this is a pretty cool thing. You can use your own, but I'm not going to touch on that in your own country. But we specialize in using your own in other countries. So for example, if you are in Canada and you want to use your own RSPs, You could buy a place in Florida. You could buy a place in Texas. You could buy a place in Costa Rica with that. Excuse me. We have the contacts for that. If you're in the US and you've got a 401k or Roth IRA and you're like, okay, I want to use my own funds, again, it's going to be outside of the country. And I want to buy a place in Costa Rica because I'm tired of the snow, depending where you live. I'm tired of the snow, or I want to get away and go to Costa Rica and go visit the volcanoes and the black sand, right? So again, Mel and I have places there too. It's beautiful. It's cool because we take boat tours all the time. And we'll literally what's the word I'm looking for? Like take off, or what's they call it? They call it landing you and whatever. I got a boat, but I don't know the terminology. You'll leave from a beach that's like black volcanic sand, and they'll take you on a tour and you'll land on one that's like white sand. Like anyway, it's pretty cool with the volcanoes there. Other people's money, and then King promissory notes as well. We do that now. Again, asterisks here, make sure that you're in compliance, that you're talking to lawyers, attorneys, notaries, that you are up to date and making sure that the securities and all that is taken care of. So yeah, definitely talk to the lawyers and the attorneys and the notaries and those types of things. So that's where the other people's money comes from. Other questions that I see, should I start with multifamily or single family? You know what? We always get that question, and I'm indifferent. So let me backtrack. Mel and I, we have a portfolio. We've now purchased over 264 units. And I think we're going to put another one on a contract today. Anyway, I know we've got a big problem, and it's buying real estate. We love it. But yeah, over 264 units. And it's all like the majority is multifamily. That is our bread and butter. Multifamily, other people's money. That's what we love. The banks love lending on it, all that stuff. That being said, do we have single family homes? Yes. Okay. So do we have single family homes? Yes. So for example, the one in Ohio that I bought in January, single family home. The one I might buy in Alberta today is single family home. The two flips we have going on in Florida. So one in Cape Coral and one in, it's right next to it. I forget the name. Those are single family homes. Those are flips. We've got condos, right? In Costa Rica, condo, townhouse or villa, whatever you want to call it. And then a single family home, casa. So again, that's the thing. So at the end of the day, going back to what I was talking about earlier, the fear part, if you tell me, Dave, I feel much more comfortable buying a single family home than a multi-family home, cool. If it means you're going to take action or not take action, like if you say, Dave, I'm going to buy something if it's a single family home because I just feel safer. I've been there, okay? Then buy a single family home. If you say, Dave, it doesn't make any difference to me, I'll buy a single, I'll buy a multi, I might say, well, let's look at the numbers, put it in the cash flow analysis matrix to see what your strategy is. Do you have a lift? Which one cash flows more? Which one has the biggest after repair value? But at the end of the day, taking action is what trumps everything for me, just to be honest with you. Okay, where to go? Should I create an LLC or a corporation before starting? So this is such a question for the accountants and the lawyers, the CPAs and the attorneys. It's not, okay. If anyone ever tells you you have to do this or don't do that in regards to your business structure, I just disagree with them and I'm not an accountant or a lawyer, right? I'm not a CPA or an attorney. So, because I've had a lot of I still have a lot of high level lawyers and attorneys and accountants, CPAs, and it's all depending on what you're doing, right? Do you have T4 income? Are you self-employed? Do you have a W-2 income? Like, are you 1099? And again, this is the thing where when the accountants and lawyers, right, talk about your scenario, are you buying only one property? Is it a buy and hold? Is it a flip? Are you leaving it to your kids, your church, your whoever? Like, all of these things come into play when you're looking at entity creation or asset protection. So in my opinion, there's no hard yes, hard no. That being said, Mel and I own everything except for the house that I'm in right now in our lake house. Everything is owned by, in Canada, corporations, or in the US, LLCs, okay? The thing I like the most is, and this is what I tell people, unfortunately, as humans, we're all going to pass away one day, right? And with passing away, then what was I going to say? Only, you pass away, you have to leave things to people. There's going to be probate, there's taxes, there's X, Y, Z. As a LLC or as a corporation, and again, this is not legal advice. This is not accounting advice. I have none of those letters after my name. Let's be very clear. I do pay our attorneys, our CPAs, our lawyers, our accountants a beautiful wage, and they help me out beautifully. Okay, so talk to the pros. But this is how it's been explained to me. Whereas an LLC or a corporation or trusts, family or living in the US, they don't pass away, right? You know what I mean? Like technically our kids are already the beneficiaries for tens of millions of dollars. So when Mel and I pass away one day, let's not do that. But one day, unfortunately, as humans, when we will, we've set them up that we're kind of guarding them from probate. We're guarding them from all these other taxes and all that stuff. So it just depends on where you're at. Where'd it go? One more silly question. Mark, or I think it's King, there's no silly questions. Okay, my investment focus is in the US. I am not US though. How much will it cost to have a property manager to look after my investment properties in the US? So I love this question, and think about this. So Mel and I are buying in 5 countries. Okay, we only have citizenship in 1, Canada. So we are foreign nationals in 4 out of the 5 countries that we're in. That being said, even in Canada, we do not manage our own properties. We have PMs, we have property managers, okay? So definitely, and this all comes with time. Did we self-manage in the beginning? Yes. At one point, I was a firefighter working 2 other side jobs. Mel was a project manager at our local college. She had fitness classes and was doing teaching online courses. Like we had 6 jobs between the 2 of us, and we had about 18 buildings and 76 units. We were self-managing everything. We self-managed for way too long. We almost burnt out, not gonna lie. We almost stopped buying buildings because it was just too much, because we were trying to save as much money as possible. Thankfully, and King, follow me here, thankfully, we bought the right buildings. And this is what I mean by our cash flow analysis matrix, our Excel spreadsheet that we've had trademarked. Thank God for that, because in there we had preset fixed costs such as property management that even if we were self-managing, we were underwriting with it. So then when we said, you know what, we're burning out here, we can't keep running 76 units and 6 jobs, we could hire a property manager. So yes, now all of our assets are managed by property managers. Okay, we manage the managers. Now we get reports, we have meetings, we're still in the process, because you can never just leave something 100%. Well, you can, but you're going to come back to surprises. Okay, you have to still be in it. I feel like saying in it to win it. We have to be in it to know what's going on, right? Because at some point you have to do that. So yes, all our properties in Canada, US, Costa Rica, Mexico, Dominican Republic, property management companies, and this is something we actually teach as well inside of our coaching and mentoring programs as well. Is Mel and I have had thousands of tenants over the years. We've learned a lot of valuable lessons, okay? So a lot of things that you can't learn unless you've been in units with, anyway, I won't even get into but we've seen some stuff, and we've been through some things. So yeah, but honestly, King, the trick here is buy the assets that can actually pay for property management if you want PMs in place. Do you have a tool to help analyze deals? Yeah, we have our cash flow analysis matrix. So, okay, think about this. And this is things that these are things. What did I say? These is things. These are things that we teach inside of our Action Family Mentoring program and our various different programs, which again, we're going live tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time, guys. You're welcome, King. Free webinar. We're going to analyze like 4 or 5 deals, that type of thing. So it's going to be super cool. Yeah, click the link and register, please. One thing, the cash flow analysis matrix. So this is an Excel spreadsheet that Mel and I have actually had trademarked, okay? We've had trademarked all throughout North America, and let me break it down. So it has 3 quadrants. Quadrant number 1, so the left side, or quadrant number 1, is why should I even buy this deal? And what do I mean by that? What is my cash flow? What are my ratios? What's my stress test? What's my underwriting like? So it's looking at the deal just like a financial institution and having those contingencies into place, all of that, so that when you bring it to a bank or a financial institution or a mortgage broker, you're not guessing, oh, are they going to approve it? No. You did the underwriting. I sometimes believe even more conservative than financial institutions. Okay, so that's quadrant number one. Why should I even bother with this deal? Why should I even spend time on it? Quadrant number three on the right side is, how am I paying back the other people's money? Okay, because that's our specialty, borrowing people's money and paying them interest, not giving them ownership. Okay, that's our huge thing. We do not give any ownership. Mel and I solely retain all the ownership in all our assets. We don't do any joint ventures. However, we highly use other people's money, and we do so successfully now on over 264 units in 5 countries, because like it's not some magic. We look at the numbers, our exit strategy. How are we paying back the investors, and how are we paying them back with interest? And if we don't have an exit strategy, we don't have a plan, move on, go on to the next deal. So literally that is the form that we use. And there's no like gray area with numbers, right? Does it make sense or does it not make sense? Now, honestly, there's going to be a human aspect as well, right? The cash flow matrix doesn't know which province or which state you're in, doesn't know, what's going on with the tenants and what's going on with the building. Like, you're going to put some numbers in as well, but you're also going to have to put the human aspect, which is where Mel and I will show you on how to know the different rules and regulations in different provinces and different states, how to estimate renovations and repairs, right? That's actually quadrant number 2, all of your costs there. And then how to, I thought of something else. Can't think of it now. And also how to, it's completely escaped me, but that's the form we use. And then someone will ask, Dave, how come you guys don't do joint ventures? So when Mel and I first started our real estate journey, okay, a lot of people told us, the only way you'll be able to scale, right, in their opinions, the only way you'll be able to scale is having joint venture partners. You'll have to partner up with people. And Mel and I kind of looked at each other. We already had a couple of buildings. I think we had like three buildings then, like 6 units or something like that, 7 units. And we said to ourselves, again, there's nothing wrong with partnering up with people, but we don't want to do that. Like, we want to have 100% ownership, 100% control, 100% equity, 100% decision making, right, and cash flow. And we decided, no, we're just not going to do it that way. Like, it's just not on the cards for us. So that's when we went down the rabbit hole. We interviewed a lot of people that grew their portfolio really big and lost it. And we interviewed, hey, how did you lose that? What happened there? And we kind of took their good, their bad, and the ugly. And that's when we basically created our different approaches and processes, and realized we can definitely use other people's money in creative financing, which we do, and we pay them in not equity, interest. Here's your interest. Thank you for doing the deal with us. Let's do it again. But to me, non-negotiable is the equity, the ownership, the equity, the decision making, the deal is non-negotiable. Mel and I do that. We're going to pass it on to our kids. No one's going to tell us how to do our portfolio or share our portfolio or anything like that, because we own everything. So that was a huge for me. So I don't forget who asked that, but that was huge. That's why we don't do JVs. And that's just a personal choice. There's nothing wrong with JVs. It's just, I like to own my portfolio, and if I want to leave it to my kids, I will, right? No one's going to tell us not to. Okay, so good. So guys, definitely attend the webinar tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be talking much more about this. I'll have slides. Mel and I will have slides. We'll share some stories. We'll share some examples. We'll share some tips, some tricks, some biggest mistakes, our systems in play. So have a good one, guys. Bye for now, and I will